Welcome to Case Vault, where every case has a crack, a contradiction, a missed clue, a detail that should not be there. Today we're looking at a family who welcomed home a missing son who turned out to be a grown stranger, and the one thing about his face the people closest to him never thought to check. A 13-year-old boy goes missing in Texas. 3 years later, a phone call says he's been found. He's alive in Spain, half a world from home. The family is overjoyed. They fly out and bring him back. There's just one problem. The boy who left had blue eyes. The young man who came home has brown ones, and he speaks with a heavy French accent. He isn't their son at all. He's a 23-year-old man from France, and for months, nobody can prove it. His family didn't just believe him, they fought for him, defended him, took him in. That's what makes this one hurt. What finally broke it open wasn't the eyes or the accent. It was a quieter part of the face, the one detail his story could not explain. Start in San Antonio, Texas, in June of 1994. Nicholas Barclay is 13 years old. Light brown hair, blue eyes, small for his age. A kid with a temper and a thin file of trouble at school. One afternoon he's out playing basketball and calls home for a ride. His mother is asleep after a night shift. A family member tells him to walk. It's an ordinary thing. A kid walking home. Parents say it 1,000 times. Walk. You'll be fine. He never makes it home. No struggle anyone sees, no note, no clear trail. A 13-year-old simply doesn't come back. The family reports him missing. Police look. Flyers go up. And then the trail just stops. There's a juvenile court date on his calendar for the very next day. He never shows. He's simply gone. For 3 years, there's nothing. No sightings that hold up, no body, no answer. Just a room nobody touches and a question nobody can close. For a family, that's its own kind of torture. Not grief you can finish. Just an open door and years of not knowing. That open door matters. Remember it. A family this hungry for an ending is a family that can be sold one. 3 years is long enough for hope to turn into a kind of ache, long enough to say yes to almost any ending. Then, in October of 1997, a phone rings at a youth shelter in Spain. Staff there have taken in a frightened young man. He hides his face at first under a hat and a scarf. He says he's American. He tells them a terrible story. He was snatched off the street as a boy and trafficked into a ring that abused children. He says his captors moved him between countries. They hurt him. They even changed how he looked. It's a story designed to stop questions before they start. Who interrogates a child who says he was tortured? So the shelter doesn't push. They do the humane thing. They try to find out who this American boy belongs to. And then he gives them a name. He says he's Nicholas Barclay, a boy who went missing from San Antonio, Texas. Here's what nobody in that shelter knows. The young man telling the story is not a teenager and not American. He's a French con artist, and he's done this before. His real name is Frédéric Bourdin. He was born in France in 1974, which makes him 23 years old that autumn. For years, he's drifted across Europe wearing other people's lives. He finds the names of missing or vulnerable kids and becomes them. He's good at it. He studies how a frightened child behaves, then gives the adults around him exactly that. He's already passed himself off as other lost teenagers in other countries. He knows how the system works and where it doesn't look twice. Later, people would call him the Chameleon. He didn't want money. He wanted a family, a place, a name that someone would come and claim. For Nicholas, he does his homework. He gets real details about the case by phoning American authorities and posing as an official. He learns the boy's date of birth, his family, the shape of his story, enough to sound like he belongs to it. But he can't fix his own body. He's a grown man with brown eyes and a thick accent, so he builds a story that explains all of it in advance. We're about to watch a whole family accept this stranger as their son, and then watch one small detail give him away. If you like a case where the smallest thing is the thing that breaks it, take a second and subscribe. It genuinely helps. Think about how clever the trafficking story really is. Nicholas would be about 16 now. Borden is 23, about 7 years too old. The story says years of captivity aged him and broke him. The boy had blue eyes. Borden's are brown. The story says his captors injected something into his eyes to change the color. Nicholas was a Texas kid. Borden sounds French. The story says he was held abroad for years, surrounded by foreign voices. Every single thing that should give him away, the story turns into proof of how much he suffered. It's a kind of armor. Doubt the boy, and you become the person bullying a torture victim. And it points at the one explanation a grieving family wants to hear. Their boy is alive. He was taken. None of this was their fault. Word reaches San Antonio that Nicholas has been found. His older sister flies all the way to Spain to bring her brother home. She meets the young man the shelter is holding. She looks at him, and she says yes. That's Nicholas. Sit with that for a second. This is family standing right in front of him, identifying a stranger as her own blood. Borden himself was braced to be caught right there. He wasn't. She accepted him, and the wall he feared most just opened. Maybe she saw what she needed to see. Maybe 3 years of hoping had done its work. Either way, the door was open. Once he's inside, the lie gets easier, not harder. He studies the family. He listens. He learns the names and the history he's supposed to already know. He flies back to Texas as Nicholas Barclay. He moves into the family home. He sleeps in a missing boy's house. With the family vouching for him, he gets real American identity papers in the boy's name. On paper, a Frenchman in his 20s is now a Texas teenager. For a while, it works. School records, a passport, a place at the family table. The impossible has become paperwork. You're probably asking the obvious question. How does anyone look at this man and see a 16-year-old? The honest answer is that some people didn't. The doubts were there from the start. They just weren't proof. An FBI agent named Nancy Fisher gets involved because a kidnapped American coming home is a federal matter. She interviews him. Almost nothing adds up. The accent is wrong. The age is wrong. His account keeps sliding around. She comes to believe he's lying, but believing it and proving it are two different things. Because every red flag has an answer. Wrong eyes, the captors changed them. Wrong accent, he was held overseas. Wrong age, look what they did to him. The suspicions made him look wrong. They couldn't make him provably someone else. And the family wasn't asking for proof. They wanted their boy. Fisher keeps pressing anyway. She wants something that can't be talked around. A document, a record, a number that only one person owns. That's the trap of this case. The harder you doubt him out loud, the more you look like you're attacking a family that just got their child back. Then something strange happens. The story is so remarkable that a television crew wants to film it. A boy stolen by traffickers, found alive years later and reunited with his family. It's the kind of miracle that makes television. Working with that crew is a San Antonio private investigator named Charlie Parker. Parker isn't moved by the miracle. He looks at the young man and something nags at him, so he does the simple thing nobody else did. He pulls old photographs of the real Nicholas Barclay, and he sets them next to the man living in the boy's home. Here's what Parker understood that the family, lost in hope, did not. A face changes as a child grows. The jaw lengthens, the nose fills out, the whole shape shifts. You can argue about a face. Ears are different. The shape of an ear, its folds and ridges, is set early and stays the same. It's nearly as individual as a fingerprint. An ear doesn't really change with age, so Parker stopped looking at the eyes everyone argued about. He looked at the ears. In the old photos of Nicholas, the ears have one shape. On the young man in the house, they have another. They are not the same ears. And that's the moment the whole thing turns. The eyes and the accent only made him suspicious. The ears made him provable. Because if the ears don't match, no story about captors can explain it away. Nobody can reshape the cartilage in your ears to match a different boy. It's the same logic as a fingerprint. Some things about a body are fixed. They don't bend to fit a story, however good the story is. Parker takes what he sees to the people who can turn a hunch into hard proof. His suspicion lands with the FBI, where Agent Nancy Fisher already believes the man is a fraud. Now there's a reason to force the issue with something no story can bend: the body's own records, fingerprints, and DNA. In February of 1998, a court orders the young man to give his fingerprints and a DNA sample. This is the exact thing the trafficking story was built to avoid. A real boy and an imposter cannot share the same prints. In March, the results come back. The man living as Nicholas Barclay is not Nicholas Barclay. He is Frederick Bourdon, a French citizen with a long history of doing exactly this. The ear that didn't match pointed at the prints. The prints ended the lie. A suspicion became a fact you could file in a courtroom. For Nancy Fisher, it's the confirmation she'd been chasing for months. For the family, it's a second loss in the same body. Once he's exposed, the case against him moves fast. Later that year, Bourdon pleads guilty in federal court to passport fraud and to perjury for lying under oath about who he was. He's sentenced to 6 years in an American prison. The judge treats the harm done to the Barclay family as serious, and the sentence reflects it. 6 years is a heavy sentence for fraud and a lie. The court is saying the lie itself did real damage to real people. Think about what he stole. Not money. He took a family's last fragile hope and wore it like a costume. He didn't break in. He was invited. The family opened the door, and he walked through it wearing their grief. He serves around 5 years. In October of 2003, he's deported back to France. Years later, his story becomes a documentary called The Imposter, and the world gets to study the face that fooled a family. But strip away the con man, and a harder question is still sitting there. Where is the real Nicholas Barclay? He was never found. To this day, his disappearance is open and unsolved. No one has ever been charged in connection with it. If this is the kind of case you like, where one quiet detail undoes a lie everyone wanted to believe, then subscribe. You'll want to be here for the next one. The FBI agent who broke the imposter came away uneasy. She wondered privately how a family could embrace a stranger so quickly. And there's a darker thread that the case never resolved. People close to it have wondered aloud whether the truth about Nicholas was known. Bourdon, once exposed, pushed that idea hard. He suggested the family took him in because it was easier than facing what happened to the boy. Be careful here. Bourdon is a proven liar with every reason to make himself the truth-teller. A suspicion is not evidence. No one was ever charged with harming Nicholas, so hold the suspicion lightly and don't reach past what is actually known. There's a simpler reading, and it may be the true one. A family that lost a child for 3 years wanted him back so much they believed. Step back and look at what actually happened. A grown man with the wrong eyes, the wrong accent, and the wrong age walked into a missing boy's life and was welcomed home. Every obvious flaw he had an answer for. Every doubt the family explained away. For months, nobody could prove what their eyes were telling them. What undid him wasn't the loud thing. It was the quiet one, a part of the face he couldn't fake and couldn't explain. He could change his story. He could change the color of his eyes in a single sentence. He could not change the shape of an ear. And somewhere out there, a boy who left for a basketball game is still missing. That part of the case never closed. A family brought home a stranger, and an ear in an old photograph gave him away. That's the case. If you see things other people miss, hit subscribe. Case Vault drops a new one twice a week, and the next crack is sharper than this one.